So hi everybody, I'm Daíre Boyle. I work for Evenflow, as Francesca just said. We are a space consultancy based in Brussels. A lot of the work we do is in market monitoring and market analysis, and in particular we do a lot of work on the agricultural market in relation to EO. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Going to just give a little kind of outlooking view of the market in general, some of the main key trends and this overarching policies, and then discuss how we match the market analysis we do at Evenflow with the sustainability of the eShape pilots. So a few very high level emerging trends in the sector. Obviously the European Green Deal is one of the most important and far-reaching policies in Europe. Basically by 2050 Europe hopes to be climate neutral. So this is dictating the way in which the economies and the countries are going to have to turn in the coming decades. Huge implications from the Green Deal for agriculture. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Something that's a little bit more close to us in time is the EU's digital decade, which runs, we're actually at the very beginning now. It runs 2020 to 2030. The idea behind the digital decade is the EU want to really bolster digitization in the economy in Europe. So developing skills of citizens, converting businesses over to primarily digital technologies. For example, one of the goals of the digital decade is to have 75% of companies using some sort of cloud technology, AI, big data by the end of this decade. So that obviously has implications for EO and agriculture, given that EO is a digital technology, and a lot of companies involved in agriculture, even farmers, are going to have to start adopting these technologies. Not so much a policy, but a huge research program we all know about it, Horizon Europe, has just started. It's running till 2027, 95.5 billion overall, and 15 billion of that is going into the digital industry and space cluster. So we're going to start seeing a lot of projects coming out relating to EO, particularly in agriculture. We're already starting to see that. We ourselves are involved in a number, so it's going to be pretty exciting to see all the different types of projects that are going to be coming up. I mean, obviously EO has a lot of applications in agriculture, but through our market monitoring and through our activities at Evenflow, we're starting to see it being used a lot actually in economic decision making. So we're seeing EO being used to monitor the likes of supply chains and then inform financial institutions about risk and investments. Let's say a portfolio has a company that is getting involved in deforestation or biodiversity loss. That's a risk for your investment. So EO is being used to verify a lot of things for financial institutions these days. We're just seeing that happening more and more. I'll talk a little bit more about supply chains in a moment. Obviously, the overarching policy in agriculture in Europe is the Common Agricultural Policy. The new CAP will take effect in 2023, and it's really going to push digital technologies and space technologies, GNSS and EO. One of the case studies I've been involved in is for a project called the Sentinel benefits study. So basically, the European Space Agency wanted to understand what the benefits are of using Copernicus Sentinels and the Sentinel data. So along with EARSC, actually, we at Evenflow have been analyzing the benefits associated. One in particular that has to do with agriculture and the CAP was a case study we did in Estonia, where the Estonian paying agency, so the agency responsible for distributing CAP payments to farmers, one of the requirements is you have to maintain a permanent grassland. The requirements are different in different countries, but in Estonia, there's a requirement to maintain permanent grassland. the way this was traditionally verified was the paying agency would send inspectors out to fields. They couldn't inspect every field, so they would inspect a small sample of fields. That cost time and money. Now, thanks to Sentinels and Earth observation, the Estonian paying agency can monitor 100% of fields rather than taking a small sample. They can monitor them automatically, remotely. The software, which was developed by a company called Capazita, the software can actually detect when a mowing event has taken place on grassland, which is a requirement, and then the paying agency can pay out. So it's made life much more efficient for the paying agency. It's made the operation of the CAP much more efficient, and we're starting to see more and more of that coming through. For example, there's the FAST platform and Sentinel for CAP initiatives. And as I mentioned, the new CAP is coming up. So in 2018, the European Commission even introduced a new regulation that specifically allows for the use of Earth observation and Sentinel-like data to be used as verification for CAP compliance. So we all know EO obviously contributes heavily to agriculture and sustainability within agriculture. I'm sure many of you are aware of all the different applications, protection of soils, reducing the use of fertilizers and pesticides through variable rate application, monitoring biodiversity and maintaining biodiversity, even verifying or food has been produced organically. There's all sorts of applications. Just a little outward look at things, new trends that we're seeing coming up in the EO market, and especially the EO market in relation to agriculture. Blockchain is a huge topic right now. A lot of initiatives and a lot of projects. We're actually involved in a project ourselves called eOrigins, where they're trying to merge blockchain with EO technology in supply chain monitoring. So EO can be used to detect changes in the supply chain or movements in the supply chain, and then adding blockchain technology to that helps in the verification and the auditability and the tracing of the supply chain itself. So this is something to look out for, definitely something we see popping up over and over. Another thing we see popping up over and over in relation to Earth observation is the idea of carbon farming. So carbon farming is the maintenance of different techniques or practices that will lend themselves to more absorption of CO2 into the air, into the soil of the earth, or also into biomass. So carbon farming can be linked to all sorts of, again, investment portfolios, sustainability requirements for different companies. And Earth observation clearly has a huge application in carbon farming, because you can monitor huge regions, constantly ensure that particular practices are being kept up, like the maintenance of different types of crops, crop rotation, permanent grassland, things like that. Blockchain and carbon farming are just two of the emerging trends we're really seeing coming through now in the Earth observation community. So that's a little outlook of the market itself, just some of the upcoming trends and policies. So how does all of this knowledge and market insight link to eShape? So we at Evenflow are leading Work Package 5, which is the sustainability and upscaling work package. So we're providing support for all of the pilots within eShape to get the idea behind their pilot nailed down in terms of being able to survive post-project. So it's another type of sustainability, not environmental sustainability, but economic sustainability. So not all pilots will become businesses or profit-seeking businesses after eShape, but we would like them all to at least have what we call economic sustainability, which means they'll be able to stand on their own 2 feet after the project and continue the work they're doing. So we are providing support for that. We delivered the sustainability support package back in month 12, which provided them with a tool, the sustainability sheets, to help them understand all of the different aspects they have to consider, the market aspects they have to consider, the competitors, their supply chain, costing, where they want to be in the future. Back in month 24, then all pilots who were on board at the time delivered their first sustainability or business plans. There's a little screenshot on the side. So the green section talks about where the pilot currently stands in relation to economic sustainability. The blue section talks about where they would like to be in the future, and then the orange section at the bottom talks about how they plan to get there. So through one-on-one meetings with the pilots, we've been developing this with each one of them. We've also been supplying socioeconomic value analyses. The first one has been published. It was by chance, it was actually on the topic of agriculture. So we've done a socioeconomic analysis, actually produced some economic figures on the value that Earth observation can bring to the agricultural sector. And these will be in ongoing publications throughout the project. And finally, when it comes to sustainability within eShape and capacity development, a huge output of the project is the sustainability booster. This is online, it's free, it's a website. If you Google eShape sustainability booster, you can visit the website. It basically provides capacity building tools to the pilots, but also just to the general public. It's open for everyone to see. We provide market insights. We publish 2 articles a month on EO, the market, and the upcoming trends. There's also an IP guidance section, so it gives all sorts of resources for initiatives that are at different stages, so startups, SMEs, blah, blah, blah. There's all sorts of resources available for that. And finally, investment resources, so a portfolio of upcoming funding sources that people may be interested in applying for. Eventually, this whole website will also have a section where the pilots can speak with actual investors. There'll be a communication type applicability on the website, all with a view to increasing the capacity and sustainability of the eShape outputs. So that's it from me. One thing I would ask you to check out is in December, we're involved in the market report for USPA. So this is the first year. Traditionally, as GSA, it only involved GNSS. Now this year, it'll also involve EO, and there's a whole section on agriculture. So keep an eye out for the USPA market report, and also please check out the Sentinel benefits study. It's all online. You can just Google it and you'll see all of the benefits we've found. So thanks everybody. That's it from me.